We started the channel on Cakewalk, which was a Catalina 42.
Love that boat. Still kind of miss her, but that was back in the days when we weren't living on a boat. And do you remember we actually had jobs and a house?
And now we have Isabella.
And that's all we have, because we sold our house, we quit our jobs, and here we are. And gotta say, no regrets. Here are both the cold and hot freshwater manifolds installed. They have valves so we can close each circuit off without starving the entire boat, and each has an extra port in case we want to add another line. And I think they look a lot better. And here's what it used to look like. Hey Steve.
Yeah.
Would you mind putting some nail polish on my toenails?
Is that kind of like a foot job?
Yeah,
You want a foot job, huh?
I do.
You know what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Now that my feet are all fancy, I'm ready to go dancing.
Still dealing with our AIS. It's probably an old VHF antenna with some cracks kind of at the top, and it turns out water was coming in through the cable where it hooks to the AIS unit. So we're still trying to determine if it's actually working right. We can receive AIS signals from other boats. Need to find a dock mate to turn their system on, maybe see if they can detect us transmitting. And there's a red error light on it. And so the manual doesn't really guide you very well on that, unless it's a flashing red.
This is a solid red.
Right. So hopefully we can get it straightened out. In some ways you just soon have AIS as radar out there. Of course, you need both.
Yes, and I'm beginning to think that AIS stands for Ain't It a Shame? But it'll be great when it's fixed. I have 100% confidence in Steve that he'll figure it out. He usually does. Here's a typical AIS setup. You can see the unit itself, the VHF radio, the chart plotter, and the network. Here's the AIS unit, the VHF radio, N2K network, the chart plotter.
Once your AIS system is hooked up properly, you get all kinds of information from other vessels, and they get your information. It's kind of like a radar, and you can get everything from their heading to their speed to type vessel they're on, their call sign, and a lot more info. This is our trusty Em-trak B923, I believe. And we've kind of had off and on issues. It could be user error. Turned it back on, it flashed through all the LEDs, and then it tends to flash the amber, meaning it's searching for a GPS signal, and then it errors out with the red LED. So we're doing a lot of testing on it to see if it receives. We don't think it's transmitting. Meanwhile, our trusty Icom has AIS receiver built in, and so we kind of try to match them up with what we're getting on the Em-trak and what we're getting on the Icom to see if they are close. I guess they should be exactly close, and fact is they are. If we look at the diagnostics on the Em-trak unit, we can see the satellite stuff moving around in real time, so I'm guessing it works. Funny thing, I unscrewed the antenna, and look, water is dripping out, I guess through the cable.
Gee, Steve, it kind of looks like an ejaculation.
Despite the fact that the software diagnostics for the Em-trak shows it's all green lighted, Isabella still does not show up on our AIS receiver. Speaking of green,
I'm going to plant some seeds. This is basil. We'll have fresh basil.
hey, I'll plant my seed in you, baby.
I like that. I've never been the neatest gardener.
Somebody's making a mess.
Uh-huh. You know, I like to get dirty. We bought another, some people call this a snake plant. I call it a mother-in-law's tongue. It's a great air filter. We keep killing it. I don't know what that says about our air or our horticultural skills. But we bought another one. We're going to try it again. Oh, nice root system. Time for this guy to get some sun. Let me get the basil.
Unscrewed the connector from the antenna outside, you know, trying to see the source of this drip.
We decided to replace the old VHF antenna because it had a crack in it. It looked pretty ugly, and just thought it needed a new one. It won't help the AIS, but we figured we had to feel like we were making some progress today.
This new antenna is a Shakespeare 4200 Mariner. It's the 3dB, but it takes the PL259 connector I already have in place.
The Em-trak has an N2K adapter, and we have a network. We hooked it up, and it's supposed to be plug and play. It's not showing up on the Garmin.
We've both been a little under the weather, some kind of common cold. I caught it, and then I guess I gave it to Karen, you know, swapping spit and stuff. Hope that's not TMI. Finally, we both feel pretty good, so we're hanging out.
Thought we'd get some fresh air. Still not back 100%, but good enough to come out and get some fresh air at the beach.
Mm-hmm.